Aloha everyone. Today I would like to go over my first day of playoff matches, the games. I was facing Langostino. I believe it's actually Limon that I have faced the week before, looking at the box itself. And his box is very interesting because it's a little bit different than the normal heroes that you see. Still have some very meta heroes, but then there's also some rare ones as well. But I think the most the one that I noticed the most is that it actually only have two real healers, which is Florencia or Liana. So chances of him first picking a healer is big. So chances are if I ban one, which is most likely gonna be Rosenseal, he's gonna pick Liana, and then I can then go from there. Another really big threat on his side is this one here, Vincent. And then and you can also see that more than likely he's going AOE just by the type of heroes that he is using. So I have decided to go with this particular box that I have been using for a while now in Season 8. It has evolved over time, but what I have decided to do was to bring in an extra tank just in case. Okay, so let's go start with the pick ban and see where we go from here. Oh, and one last note, after the game matches, I was chatting with Limon. He said that he actually didn't have the opportunity to play me. Seems like something happened, and he did ask a friend to play instead, which is completely fine. I didn't notice any difference than when I was playing him the week before. The box looks the same, so I'm assuming whoever was playing is very comfortable with the box and definitely knew what he or she was doing. Okay, so starting with the pick ban. So going with Rosenseal on my side, I did the same, and of course I first pick a tank. Not sure why I did that, but okay. Ban the two double AOEs, and then I picked Liana as I thought he would. So I banned both their tanks. So I'm forcing him to either rush or get sabotaged. But anyway, so that's the reason why I picked Light of Genesis there. He did the same, and it makes sense because Long Reach can teleport. Got rid of the Fraction Buffer and Himiko, which I don't want to deal with. Put in a healer and act again to counter his act again. I lost my Bernie. Put in a Bozo, which makes sense because he can fly. Bozo can fly and is very dangerous AoEs. I put in more healing just in case. And then he got rid of my Reen, which I wanted to pick. Then he brought in more very high damage. So I had to get rid of Imelda because Imelda with Shafanio is just cannot be dealt with. And then he did pick Clotaire as I thought he would. Okay, so let's pause for a second and look at the heroes and skills. So on my side, Hilda, pretty basic, bringing a buff for my team here. He's gonna buff himself. I did bring a Wave Whisper at least to try to push if I need to. And because he brought Bozo, I brought Angels and then AoE heal and act again because she can heal. Because I also have this as a backup healer, which is kind of nice. And then buff herself, buff AoE, because he knew I can use him to kind of block the flying. I don't know why he still brought Bozo like that, but I think it's just for the range ability to kind of move around. And of course he brought the 2 double and then the AoE and then act again plus Gospel. I'm not sure why she brought Gospel, but maybe to buff him because he doesn't have a buffer. Okay, so that kind of makes sense. So let's see what happens. So I kind of stay back he does his setup. I didn't move forward at all because, you know, he has very far reach with teleport and with him. Just hang back, setup. So I'm giving, he's like full on setting up now, so I need time as well. So probably Sky Archer. Yep, Gospel for him as I thought. I'm buffed up now, so my team is ready. I think his team is ready, so I'm gonna expect him to charge next round. Okay, I just move slightly forward just to, and I buff now both my DPS. Still trying to adjust what he's trying to do. Okay, but he's not really jumping in yet, looks like. Oh wait, maybe he is. So here's the act again, so it's gotta be a reason for that. So that's the reason why I backed up with Licorice, because I stayed just out of the way. So if you look at my positioning here, the Sky Archer won't be able to get killed, and Licorice is also out of the way. Then make sure I dispel, get rid of the really bad stuff. Act again on Licorice because I know there's going to be a follow-up, which is coming right now. Okay. Then before she can act, I heal my team back up and do some damage to her. And should be enough where I lower her intel a little bit, so I won't get one shot. Ooh, that still hurt a lot though, as you can see. But that's fine. I heal back up with prayer. I was ready for it. Here comes Bozo. But if you look at my positioning, I'm staying out of the way so I won't get silence on Licorice. And I actually was able to kill her off with T Jessica, because if I didn't do that, I actually took quite a bit of time thinking about this move. I was like, what should I do next? And the next person, that's because he already blow his load, so she's next. She didn't kill anything, but she still had one more cooldown, but I think for me to be still in guard range and to be safe, I took the chance of killing her. But I did notice that I have an attack minus 20% here, which is really bad. But I took my chance anyways. So, but I was able to kill off Shafenio. So that's sort of decided. So the fate, because once the AOE is gonna stop coming, I think the game has been won. But let's see what happens. So here goes. So once I kill off Shafenio, heal my team up. So I'm pretty comfortable in the actual HP level now. Oh, Thorns proc, reflect. So there, he killed himself. So yeah, 5 against 3. I think that was a pretty good win there. So my opponent got to be first player, and he switched up quite a bit on his team. He brought in Reen, got in Oldius, and I think that's it. Yeah, he swapped those two out. Was there anyone else? Oh no, and he brought Sophia, which is the third healer. So he's switching up the playstyle a little bit. I think he's still going for the AOE, but he noticed that I was able to sort of pigeonhole him into with the ban pick, right, of getting rid of the healer. He had to pick a healer, then I bang his tank. So that's the reason I believe he switched his heroes around, which was fine. Okay, I didn't change my box at all. Still went with Ban Rosenseal, still gonna force him to pick a healer. He did the same. But he picked Oldius first. I said, okay, that's fine. Got rid of the two I don't want to deal with his Kruger. And then I first pick, oh yes, Betty. He got rid of my 2 tanks. I still have one, somewhat of a tank, but he was smart enough to pick T Jessica, because normally T Jessica should be able to one-shot Jugler. I got rid of the more AoE random bullcrap that I don't want to deal with. Pick my tank. You get rid of my T-Jess. And take Bernhardt, which is a good choice. Very strong. So I had to get rid of Emmerich and Bozo. So more AoE. So now he got rid of my AoEs, and he picked Liana, which kind of surprised me. I thought he would have picked Shafanio, but if he picked Shafanio, might been a bad choice just for the fact that I have Betty and he's probably gonna kill herself, and then also have heals with Jugler here. So I think maybe Liana wasn't as bad as I thought, but I banned her anyways. Got rid of additional heals. And I brought my own healer, Liana. Got rid of Emmerich, Lico, bringing a second tank, which I wasn't sure why. And then I brought in him again for the push, as well as fusion buff for Jugler. And the reason why that's important is because if I have enough, I guess, tank power, I want to be able to not get one-shotted by Licorice. Okay, so that's the ideal situation, but we'll see what happens. I mean, double act again would have definitely been an interesting pick, but I think for this particular fight, since I'm fighting T-Jess against Jugler, that I didn't really have a chance. So before we start, let's take a look at the heroes, soldiers, and skill selection. So he didn't pick werewolves, and I think it's because I am holy soldiers here, which sort of makes sense because I would have made short of him using Sage of the Trees. And then he brought Trianguard, which is kind of interesting because this doesn't look like it's fully built 100%. I could be wrong. I think it's still 10, but I don't think his training is maxed out on the Lancers. Let's see here. And then we have Emilia with Consecration for additional healing. And then we do have Light of Genesis. Very high intel. So this tells me when I see this high intel without any buff, it's most likely either a Red Moon or a Pale Staff. It's definitely not the Range Scepter, because I think Range Scepter I stand at about 1100, not even 12. So I'm pretty sure it's a Pale Staff. I don't know. I could be wrong. And then act again. He brought Sky Archers to counter my AoEs here. And then he brought AoE with Bernhardt. For me, on my side, pretty traditional. I brought AoE here. I brought AoE here plus Savage Attack for stun if I have the opportunity. Pushback AoE. And then I actually went with Great Dragon Barrier because what T-Jess can also do is snipe one of my characters if I don't have Magic Guard up, which typically most people forget. So I made sure I brought that. And I also brought Mass Protect. And the reason why is of this particular sword dance. I want to make sure I don't get the heal block. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Pretty standard otherwise. He does have the Holy Emilia with the Holy Zealots. So my werewolf would have been not as effective, but I wasn't too scared because I can always attack into her and let him guard. So that was okay. And then lastly, I think that's about it. And then I use Highland Warriors, which will counter his Lancer here and Lancer there. Okay, so let's see how we do. Because the winning condition for him is to kill Jugler. The winning condition for me is not to get Jugler kill and kill off T-Jess. Once T-Jess dies, he actually has no bite. Bernhardt by himself is not going to be able to kill off all these people. So that's the win condition. Let's see what happens. So both sides kind of sit up. I move forward. He just can't reach me turn 1, not the way that he's kind of crawling forward. So I just set up water first. put his Sky Archer, which is fine. So I just gotta make sure everyone is nice and guarded. I did remember to buff with Oldius first and not burn, so it doesn't override burns. Better fusion buff. So he's just kind of hanging back, and I'm moving aggressively forward. Because technically I don't really have anything to fear as long as I have all my guard up. So now I've set up magic guard. He still can't reach me because he already used the act again. I move forward, set up into position. Ooh, nice breeze with Bernhardt. So he's being very careful and, you know, kind of holding ground. Ooh, that breeze is bad news for me, but it's okay. I gotta breeze myself. So he's just kind of dancing around, trying to look cool. And I'm just holding ground because... Okay, so here it is. So this is the timing, right? He's saying, hey, you know, let's look at the stats. This is insane. 1,739. That's very, very high intel with this much HP. So I don't know what kind of enchants he has. He's probably sacrificing all... Oh no, he doesn't have a fusion buff, so the defense and magic defense load is pretty understandable. But this is very high attack on the sorceress as well, right? 1,000 plus 427. So the chance of her one-shotting me is quite high. However, my juggler is nothing to be scuffed at as well. So I do have fusion buff, so my magic defense is fairly decent. I have water, so you know the lobsters will get reduced damage taken. But one thing my opponent probably didn't check, and I could be wrong. If you look at all my buffs, which is like 10 million of them, I actually have this one here. I probably got it from the 10-year helmet earlier. Damage taken minus 20%. So that's a lot. Minus 20% here, and I think lobsters being in water is minus 50, so that's already 70% damage reduced. So let's see what happens when a 1,739 Intel Light of Genesis goes head on using her 3C, which does have increased damage or attack against anything not holy against my Juggy. So let's see what happens. Wow. Not much. And now she also got damage, right, from Betty. So she attacked me. I live, still 100% HP in Jugler. My lobster all died, but he gained back HP. So I'm in a very, very comfortable safe spot. Not much they can do. So now it's my turn to counter attack. So I use act again on Betty. Okay, Jugler got a 10-year breeze. Goes in, do her 3C. Should be pretty decent damage. And a heal block on the TJS. Then jump in with Jugler, 3C for more AoE. Still guarding my important, and then TJS is dead. So my win condition has already been met. Right? And here he comes with Bernhardt. Well, it's my turn first, so I get a follow-up. And now Bernhardt is heal blocked again. He does his heal, but it doesn't really matter because every time he attacks me, Betty counters attack. I have one more AoE coming in, and now he have 0 damage with 2 tanks and a healer. I have my full team, and that's pretty much it. That was the game. So I think a lot has to do with the band pick, having the foresight to understand what my opponent is trying to do, understanding what my team can and cannot handle, and picking the right heroes for both game 1 and game 2 is what has led me to be a little bit more, I guess, advantageous during the actual fight, because if not, I think would have been pretty devastating. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the matches. That's it for day 1, 2-0. Thank you for the games, and we'll be back with day 2 in the following video. Take care and aloha.